Prank him, Don.
I had enough to go.
Don's here in spirit.
I'll just get.
Hey everyone, this is Cardfight. I bring you another standard match. Today on the left we have Draguled enthusiast Darren playing Heroes today. And on the right we have my teammate Riki playing Gandeeva still. It's been how many sets since Gandeeva came out and we're still playing this? Man even brought this to Springfest. Like, I mean, he did pretty well, so, like, what can I really say? Anyways, gonna be getting into the match. We do have Heroes going first, gonna be searching out that base. Again, moving over to Gandeeva, I almost said Dragul. Gandeeva, using the skill of the grade 2 cycle card, Soul Blast 1, putting it to the bot, and then drawing card, calling out the counter charger to put on a little bit of early game aggression. Definitely something that you can afford to do against Heroes, because Heroes have a really amazing early game, as we're probably going to be seeing here. I'm going to be riding into that grade 2 by discarding the base, calling out the Darnia, the Amass Darnia, using her skill to Soul Blast 1 since we haven't played a base yet. That is going to allow us to just play a base automatically from deck, and then hopefully we'll be able to deck thin 3. Oh yeah, we do actually have to discard a card here, so we just kind of have to decide like what's the worst card in our hand. And it does kind of look like we have a lot of good cards anyway. It looks like we're going to be pitching that copy of the grade 1. Definitely probably your best option for a pitch target. I mean, it's still like a 13k booster, so it's not a terrible card at all, and it is another hero in the deck, so it makes it that much harder to actually whiff off of the base. But playing that base from the deck is going to just kind of accelerate our game plan, make it so that by the turn we get to that grade 3, we probably do have the 3 bases. We do have the base in the drop zone, so assuming we have the promo, we should be able to play that base as well. Not sure if we do have a second base to play from hand. That one that we discarded could have been the one we searched off the ride line. Looks like we are going to be getting a Persona Ride into the hand, and then putting into the base a copy of the Shield Guy, as well as the, I don't know, what do you call her? I just call her like Pink Lady. She kind of reminds me of a Die Lady, except, you know, not a robot and an actual person, but just like the color scheme. Soul charging a crit there off of the Shield Guy's effect. And then, of course, looks like we have a lot of things. We're going to be playing the second base, so we did actually have 2 bases in hand. So this is going to be pretty good. We're going to do a whole bunch of deck thinning here, putting 2 more cards there, adding the, what's his face? I know what that guy does, but I don't know his name. I guess we'll see it if we activate the effect. Calling out the promo to the base, as well as another copy of that Pink Lady. So definitely not short on the ability to multi-attack. We've got the Darnia as well as that grade 1, which is going to let us get to 4, 5, 6 attacks even, maybe, depending on how much CB we actually have. So it looks like we're kind of thinking, I think we probably just pitch the grade 2 to call out the promo. If I'm correct, I actually don't know a whole ton about Heroes. I have a friend that plays them, so I know what they do, but in terms of just like the best lines of play you can have, I'm not always super familiar with it. Anyways, gonna be doing just what I said, pitching that grade 2 that we just added, kind of deciding what we want to call here. We could call the promo, or we could just call the grade 1. We get an extra bit of Vanguard pressure there, and depending if we have the promo in there or in our hand to use, we can just set up that 3rd base already. But at the same time, you know, we can totally do that next turn. And it looks like we do actually have a copy of the promo in the hand, as we are going to be using Bold Salos here to counterblast 1, call itself back out since it was discarded, putting another Bold Salos in the order zone in the base. Gonna be swinging with the promo for a nice 10 at the Vanguard. And then, of course, with that base in the drop zone, we are actually going to be able to use its skill to set the base once again. So that is a total of 3 bases already set up. Now, we did see Gandeeva get a nice defensive trigger there. So that means that these other attacks are actually still going to be hitting, because that is just kind of how insane Heroes is. As we see the 3rd base being deployed, hopefully getting another 3 cards. We've already deck thinned 6 cards from the deck, or 6 normal units from the decks. Looks like we're going to be putting another Darnia in there. So if that Darnia manages to survive, we are going to be able to get a whole bunch of multi-attack, putting the Bold Salos in the order zone, and then adding the Shield Guy to our hand. Not entirely sure if that's correct. I mean, I don't really see a problem with it. Like, you get a 15k shield in your hand anyway. It's just, you know, you don't get the soul charge. So I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. So we're going to swing here 18. Going to be hitting into a PG. This Bold Salus is getting an extra 10k whenever it attacks, since we have, I think it needs like 2 bases in the order zone or something. Like I said, I don't really know too much about heroes, but looks like we're going to be discarding not the cycle card because we want to call out the grade 1, which is definitely totally valid. It gives you just a free rear guard, which may or may not be like better than the soul that you could get, because, you know, you do kind of have to control the board a little bit here. Swing at some rears, maybe. I think you just swing at that Bold Salus and then commit everything else to the Vanguard. Looks like we're swinging the Vanguard at... kind of deciding at the Bold Salus. Okay, gonna be drive check into a Persona right there. Not great for our total shield value. Gonna be swinging for the 16. Gonna be hitting to a draw trigger there, which is a little unfortunate, but this other grade 2 promo is still going to be able to hit, and looks like we are just going to be taking that, pushing heroes to 3, using the skill to retire the Darnia with the counterblast, and then of course retiring it. Now of course we don't get a bind because we are not actually on Gandeeva quite yet, so you know, a little bit of a waste of a skill. We did set up the one card in the bind zone with the grade 1. We bound it, and then of course we drew the card, almost forgetting to untap our bases there. We do have to discard something here to ride up to grade 3. Once again, the hand is looking pretty good there. We've got a whole bunch of cards. Looks like we are going to be pitching the Darnia, so maybe not going for as many... Oh, never mind. I was about to say, maybe we don't go for as many multi-attack as possible, but no, we just are so good at this game. We had a second Darnia in the hand as we get the 4th and final base in the order zone, which is going to let us deck thin 3 more times.
You see how thin it is? Because of all the cards I took out? Yeah.
Still gonna drive check that.
Shut up.
And we'll have to see if that actually does impact the you know, amount of triggers we're actually able to get during this next drive check, because we are at that 2 drives with the grade 3. I don't know why I said that. Everyone should know that. But we do have the extra added pressure of being at 28, as well as an extra critical. I don't know why that was so hard for me. It looks like we got, is that 2 Persona rides off of the top 7, as well as another copy of Shield Guy. I think maybe you just add a Persona ride to hand, even though I think we already have one from last turn. So it's like we don't even need it. And then of course putting that Shield Guy into soul will enable us to soul charge 1. Not sure if we really need the soul. I guess it's good for guarding, and we do need the 1 soul for the grade 1 there. Let's see, does anything else need soul? Not really, so looks like we're gonna be doing that. Soul charging the over trigger, which is a little unfortunate, but you know, heroes are definitely capable of winning even if they don't have their over trigger, just like the amount of deck thinning that they are actually able to do. We've decked in 4, we played 4 bases, we got all 4 on 3 hits, so we decked in a total of 12 cards already. So in a deck of 33, let's see, that leaves... Why am I... What? Okay, that's really easy, man. That's 21 normal units left in the deck, not accounting for, like, damage and hand. And then, of course, we can't account for the triggers. Anyways, going to be using one of the base's skill, calling out the Bold Salus to be a nice strong attacker, calling down a Shield Guy. Probably didn't have too much else to be doing there. And then we're going to be getting the train rolling here with the fact that, you know, Dynas gives an extra 5k to all your hero rear guards, so everything's hitting for very magic numbers here. At this point, I think you kind of just have to bank on a defensive, because this Darnia can use its skill here, and we still do have 1 spare counterblast for the Vanguard itself, calling out another Bold Salus. So the ability to live with a defensive is slowly disappearing as we use Dinos to
Only me.
get absolutely nothing off of the drive check. But of course that's not going to matter because everything is still hitting for nice magic numbers. Pushing Gandeeva already to 5, having to guard with the OT there just to block that 25k attack, which, you know, it would have been a 20-point guard there. So like, you kind of need to live. You're already at 5. You didn't get a single defensive, so you're kind of screwed here. We do actually have the best harvest to help us stabilize a little bit, so things might not be too bad. But we do see the rare one retire off of the Gandeeva. Now, of course, that Best Harvest does remove all of your, what's it called, UBDs, so things are not going to be terrible as we do draw 2 cards, and you know, every single retire is going to be an extra draw. So I do need to pause the video here, because I need to explain to you why there is a trickstar staring you in the face currently. So, this is a very batshit crazy idea from my teammate Ryuki. So his reasoning behind it is the same as the reason why people played a full board of trickstars against Prison in set 1. The fact that trickstar is untargetable, he has resist, the only card in Dragon Empire that has resist, mind you, and the reason he is playing with that is because Shiranui is a deck, and his plan in this deck with playing trickstar is he leaves trickstar as the only rear guard, so it cannot be chosen as a dominate target, and he's also planning to try and use Gandeeva's bind skill to completely empty out his drop zone so that Shiranui cannot call anything from the drop zone, therefore reducing Shiranui's ability to use dominated attacks. And if you can prevent Shiranui from attacking with dominated units, then you kind of shut down a lot of their strategy. I hope I don't have to explain to you why exactly this is like the most batshit crazy dumbass idea that anyone has ever put in. I know me and Orion, my deck tester, do a lot of dumbass shit, fucking crazy, really bad ideas, like all of our barely supported archetypes and all the random insane decks we've played. But this shit right here, this trickstar in this Gandeeva deck, that takes the cake for the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Okay, rant over. So, let's finally get back into the match. So, with that trickstar randomly being there, it still does hit. It's a 13k column. Okay, whatever. Gonna be swinging the multi-attacker into the rear guard just so we can bind another card, and then using the countercharger to countercharge, and then counterblasting it right away using the Alf card to go ahead and call a card from the top 5 cards of the deck, which is going to be a copy of that cat there. Now that cat is going to be using its skill, going to be allowing us to draw a card. Now don't forget that, of course, Gandeeva does give a lot of power to the front row, so that cat is not just an 8k, as we're going to be swinging, getting a critical trigger, giving all the effects to that trickstar, and getting a second critical trigger here, giving all the effects to that trickstar. So this trickstar is now just insanely powerful. A 45k trickstar! Like, Nirvana doesn't even get this high. Thankfully, we have a PG to block that trickstar there, and we are of course going to be damage dying, which is the correct play. That trickstar almost swung for lethal, and I swear to God, if that trickstar managed to kill Darren here, I would never let him be in another video on the channel. I swear. Don't test me. Anyways, getting back to heroes, we're looking to probably finish things out here. At the same time, I say that, but it's going to be very difficult. We don't have access to any counterblast, so we can't use Darnia to multi-attack here. So the best we can realistically do is maybe just Persona Ride and then, you know, get 4 attacks. But looks like we're not even going to Persona Ride and go for a very weak swing here, going for that nice 21. Going to be PG'd with the Elementaria there, drive checking into a critical trigger at long last, and then, of course, just swinging this Bold Salos. Is it Bold Salos? I think it is, actually. I kind of said that by mistake, but it was actually correct. Anyways, Gandeeva here looks like it discarded its Persona Ride for that PG, so not going to be getting any Persona Ride here. Getting another Best Harvest, as well as another rare Gandeeva whiff. At the same time, with the Best Harvest, it's actually better to whiff on the Gandeeva skill as we go ahead and bind 2, draw 2 anyway. Using the skill here to counterblast 1, retire, draw 1, and then with Gandeeva's skill, bind another one. So we are at a total of 9 cards in the bind zone, kind of just missing 1 more for that magic number. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to get there, as we are going to be swinging for 31 and 2 damage. So it is kind of risky here, but looks like we're taking the Vanguard swing just because we need the kind of need the damage. We need to be able to have counterblast to finish things off. So we took the risk, and it somehow paid off. Looks like that Trickstar column isn't going to be able to hit, but this other one's going to be swinging for a 36 because we got that double defensive there. So somehow that just all paid off, and we lived. I guess it wasn't as much of a risk because we did see double crit in that last turn, and we got like 2 crits in damage zone, so maybe it wasn't as risky as it could have been, but still, you know, if we hadn't taken the Vanguard swing, there's a total and very real possibility that, you know, Gandeeva doesn't swing at all, because, like, the more CB you give heroes, the easier it is for them to just kind of kill you. You know, it's just Darnia swings, it's an extra 15k and a crit to the Vanguard. You know, it's like, don't give heroes unnecessary damage. That's just, like, the best way to play against them. There's so little you can actually do against them, so... looks like we are just setting up our board, discarding our entire hand to call things from the base, calling that final turn there so that we can get the extra VP, swinging the Darnia first for that 25, gonna be swapping it out for the Shield Guard, swinging for a 28 here. After the Vanguard, this is going to be a 20k guard. Looks like we're just going to give up and take the damage. And that is going to be the end of the match. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to love YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.